Hi Swati, how are you? Hello.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Can you please switch on your video?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you?
Hi, ma'am. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. All right, Swati. So we'll have a quick demo for science today. Before I start, could you tell me what is happening in school?
Yes, ma'am. We are learning about.
Have you started something in school for science?
Yes, ma'am. We were learning food. Where does it come from? And we learned
Okay.
like that. And then we finished that one chapter. We are going to start the chapter in the next week.
All right. Okay, great. Okay, so any particular, Swati, just tell me something about yourself, then I'll tell you something about me. Anything you would like to share with me? Where are you from? What do you like? What do you dislike?
I'm from India, but I'm in the Qatar, and I'm in the public school. I'm in grade 6. I like science and maths, and I like to read storybooks.
Okay.
And that's it.
That's it. Okay, lovely. Okay, so Swati, my name is Aishwarya. Okay, I will be taking science for you, and I belong to Delhi, but otherwise I keep on traveling. So I'm almost here and there all over the country. But otherwise, I belong to Delhi, and professionally, I've been teaching for competitive exams for almost 4.5 years now. Right. So let's start. Okay, let me just share my screen. We'll. Okay. Any particular topic that you like? Anything? Or I'll just pick any choose any topic and start.
Like the human body,
Human body?
the non-communicable diseases.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. To be a little louder.
In science, the human body and the non-communicable diseases.
Okay. All right. Let's see what we have for your syllabus. So human body as such, we don't have it much, but of course I can talk to you about the body movement, right? Since you like the body part, let me share my screen. Okay. All right, so body movement is one of the topics that we'll be covering in our sessions, right? It's much later, but since you like human body, we'll just discuss it today slightly. So when we talk about the human body or the human, like how does the human body move around? It is basically due to the bones that are present in our body, correct? If there are no bones in our body, we won't be able to move, right? And now let's say if you try to raise your arm, how are you raising your arm? Try to raise your arm. Is it voluntary or is it involuntary? Like, are you voluntary? Correct. And what about movement inside your body, like inside the body? For example, movement of the heart or movement of your stomach or movement of your organs. Is that voluntary or involuntary?
It's involuntary.
Involuntary, correct. So there are two kinds of movement. One, of course, is the voluntary movement. Second is the involuntary movement. Involuntary movement obviously are movements which are not under our control, and that will happen inside our body. And most of the times, the voluntary movements are due to the movement of our bones plus the movement of your muscles. So basically, if you look at the structure of your body, you have a skeletal system, and the skeletal system is attached to the muscles. So basically, you are moving both your muscles and bones. If there were no muscles, even you could not have moved your bones. So basically, your muscles are either stretching or relaxing, because of which the bones are also able to move. If you remove the muscle from the bone, you'll not be able to move your hand. Okay. So there are 2-3 things that happen. So first, before I move on to how you're moving your body, let's understand the basic structure of the human skeletal system. So as you can see in the picture, this is your human skeletal system, right? An adult has total of 206 bones. Okay, this is in an adult human being. Now, when we have an infant or a small little child, that child could have more than 206 bones. So they can have almost about 300 bones. That is why the body of the infant is really soft, right? They can't sit upright. They can't hold their neck, right? They keep on, if it's a small little baby, they keep on lying, right, for a long period of time. And eventually they will start walking. Eventually they will start talking. Eventually they can sit upright on their own, hold their head on their own. So that is because all the bones are not fused together. Once the bones will start fusing together, then there will be more support.
Okay.
Okay. So totally, eventually you will have 206 bones. That is why, sometimes when you have some people who enjoy dancing, or some children who are into gymnastics and everything, as a child, you're very flexible. Like, of course, you will be more flexible than I am, because you might have your bones not completely fused together as of now. Once you become an adult, most of your bones will fuse together, your muscles will tighten up, your joints will tighten up. So then the body becomes slightly stiff. Okay. All right. So the bones in our body are making the framework that is supporting the whole body. And this framework is known as the skeleton. Like I've already told you, we have about 206 bones in our body. Now, different types of bones are present to facilitate movement in different forms. And how are they moving? Each and every bone, like I said, is joined to a muscle, and the bones are joined to each other through joints. And each and every joint has a different movement. So in this chapter, we will be talking about the different parts of your skeletal system, as well as the different types of joints. And a lot of questions come on this, right? When we look at the Olympiad paper, there are questions on joints massively. So depending upon the movement of the joint, we have different types. We'll come to that later. Okay, now if you look at the skeletal system, to understand, you're seeing a lot of names here, it might be getting confusing. So to make it easier, what we do is we divide the skeletal system into two parts. So the first part is the axial skeletal system. Now, the axial skeletal system is basically this part, the middle part. This is the axial system. So your main framework, skull, your thorax area, abdomen area, right? The main vertebral column, rib cage, all of those, and this area. Okay. This entire part is your axial system, the central portion. Okay. Then whatever is coming out, these are the limbs, right? So the limbs or the appendicular, that means these are all coming out of the skeletal system. This is known as the appendicular skeletal system. So axial skeletal system includes the skull, the vertebral column, the chest bone or the rib cage. And appendicular skeleton includes hip girdles. This is also included. These are the hip girdles, right? The shoulder girdle, that means the shoulder joint, and the limbs, all four limbs. Okay. Any doubt till here?
No.
Okay, great. Let's move forward then. Okay, let's look at the skeletal now. So first, let's talk about the skull. This entire thing is the skull. Okay, now skull has a lot of bones, but the skull has no movable joints in it. That means if I want to move this part of my face, can I move it? Except my jaw, my lower jaw. Can you move anything else in your face? No, right? So that means there are no movable joints, though the bones, if you look carefully, if you look here, see there are different types of bones. Here there is one bone, here there's another bone, here there's another bone, here there's another bone, right? These bones are all joined to each other by fixed joints. This we'll talk about later in a little while. Okay, so these fixed joints will not allow any movement, just the lower jaw can move, right? Now the entire skull has your cranium. Cranium is the part of the skull which is protecting your brain. It is one of the most important bones. because if there's no cranium, the brain could get damaged easily. Okay, so cranium is a very thick bone and it is protecting your brain. Apart from that, you have these facial bones, cheekbones, right? This is your frontal bone, parietal bone. Now, you don't need to know the names of the skull bones. You just need to know that there's a skull and cranium. Cranium is protecting the brain. Apart from that, not required. Okay, till here, any doubt?
No.
Great. Let me just move on to skull then. Okay, so skull, it's one of the most hardest and the toughest bone of our body because it is protecting our brain, right? From any kind of injury. Brain is the most important part of your body. So all the bones in the skull are fixed and joined except that of the lower jaw. This I already told you, right? Now, what all have you have to remember here? Number of bones present. So out of 206 bones, total bones that we had, 22 bones are present in the skull. But you can't feel it, right? It looks like one single bone. And these bones will be classified by their location. So like I said, one is your cranial bone, which is protecting the brain. Okay. Second is your facial bone, which is present on your face, right? So cranial bones are 8 in total, and they will protect your brain, and they are usually flat. Now, why are they flat? Do you have a sibling, younger sibling or an elder sibling? Do you have any elder sibling? Have you seen a newborn baby ever? No? No? Okay, so if you see a newborn baby or if there's a newborn baby, we usually hold the head of the baby, right? And we usually, if you touch the head of the baby, it's very soft. That means it can be shaped accordingly. So usually when you see newborn babies, they are usually, the parents would put a cap on the baby's head most of the times, right? Correct. So, so it is because usually the head is really soft when the baby is born, and eventually the cranium will start toughening up. Okay. And the shape of the cranium is such that it can be, since it's flat, it needs to be shaped properly so that it takes the shape of the head. Otherwise, what happens is if the baby keeps on sleeping on the side or the head is not covered, it will become conical. It can become like that. That means instead of from the back, instead of having a round head like this, a baby can also have a head like this, which eventually will block the passage of the brain. How will the brain grow? Brain has to grow like this, no? So in this scenario, the brain will have not enough space to grow. So in that case, there can be some growth and physical issues, right, later on in life. So that is why when a baby is born, we hold the baby very carefully, especially the head and the neck area. And how are they joined together? All the cranial bones. So let's say the cranial bone is this part, and there are different bones. They are joined together in a zipper-like manner. That means the joints between them are like a zip, so that there is no space in between, and it can be arranged properly. So let's say this is the skull and this is the upper part. All the bones are joined together in a zip-like fashion. Okay. So this is your cranial bone. Any doubt in the cranial bones?
No, ma'am, no doubt.
Okay, so out of 22, 8 are cranial. Now remaining 14 are on your face. So facial bones, remaining 14 are facial bones. They are obviously found in the front of your skull and they are making up the face. So the facial bone will comprise of the upper jaw, lower jaw, your cheekbones, this one, pectoral, here, whatever bones are present in your face, they are all facial bones. And out of this, only the lower jaw is movable, which will allow you to talk, eat, sing, whatever, right? Otherwise, nothing else is movable. Okay. Any doubt here?
No.
Okay. Let's move on to the next part. So right below your skull, we have the backbone. One second. Should we have the neck bone also? Okay, apart from your, yeah. All right, right below the skull, before I start with the backbone or the spinal or the vertebral column, this is your neck bone, right? The neck is also part of the vertebral column. So from here only, from the back of your neck, right, at the back of your head, your vertebral column will start. So the back part. I'm not talking about this bone. This is the chest bone, sternum. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking the part that is on the back. I'm sure you can't see it from here, but it's at the back. Okay. So it's something like this. They are arranged like this. Okay. Each bone has a small little cartilage in between. So imagine it like, discs that are placed, and each disc has a cartilage in between. Why is the cartilage there? So that you can move a little bit. You can bend, like you can bend forward, bend backward, move your neck around, up, down. So that if there's a single bone, then you won't be able to move, right? Let's say this part is a single bone. This arm, forearm is a single bone. Can I bend this from here? No, right? I can only bend at the joints. So similarly, each and every disc is placed like this, and there's a cartilage in between. Now what happens is, if you look here, this is joining the rib cage. So here, it will come forward like this. The rib will come forward. From each disc, a rib cage is coming out, or a rib is coming out. You see here, there's the backbone, and then rib is coming out, and they're all joining at the chest bone. Okay, so like if this is your backbone, here the rib is coming out and joining in front, coming out, joining in front, coming out, joining in front. Okay, so total from the base of the skull to the lower back till here, 33 rings are present. These rings, 33 of these are present. Okay, and they are called the vertebrae, and they are serially arranged with cartilage in between, and they make the vertebral column. Now, inside the vertebral column is hollow. Inside the vertebral column, you will have your spinal cord. Do you know what is the function of the spinal cord?
Yes, ma'am. It connects the brain and the nerves to the other parts of the body.
Correct, absolutely correct. So spinal cord is very important because it will connect all the nerves of your body to the brain, and the entire functioning of our brain and our nerves and our nervous system is actually dependent upon the spinal cord. Another thing about the spinal cord is responsible for all your reflex actions. Do you know what are reflex actions?
Yes, ma'am. They are the actions which is done by the spinal cord instead of the brain.
Correct. So basically, they are quick, actions which does not require a lot of thinking. They're just a part of your reflex, and it comes from memory. So for example, if you touch a hot plate or a hot cup, your hand will immediately retract, right? Or if you feel some kind of pain, your body will immediately retract. That is reflex action. So because it is like an emergency action and it is for protection of your body, the brain is not involved. Simply the spinal cord takes the action, right? So coming back to the backbone, so the backbone is supporting the skull, the ribs, as well as the limbs, right? So backbone is actually, when we say the backbone of your body, everything, the entire body structure depends on the backbone. That is it, right? Any doubt here?
No.
Okay, let's move forward then. All right, let's come to the rib cage. Now, rib cage is in the front. Now, rib cage is basically a cage that is protecting all your important internal organs like the lung and the heart. Okay, so the lung is placed right in the center. Right here, you have your lungs, right? The heart is in the center here, but it is slightly tilted towards the left. That is why we say that heart is in the left, but it is right in the center of the lung. Simply, it is just because of the shape of the heart, it is tilted towards the left side. Right? Otherwise, it's in the center and it is protected by the chest bone. Now, the chest bone is known as the sternum. Okay, this is your chest bone. So there are 12 pairs of ribs. That means this is one pair. This is the second pair, third pair, fourth, fifth, like this. Can you see it clearly? So this is the first pair. 1, okay, 2, 3, like this, 4 on either side. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs. In total, there are 12. Okay, so that means 24. Okay, now it is protecting the heart, it is protecting the lungs. Now, important thing about the rib is that they are all joining to the chest bone, but the last few ribs are not directly connecting to the sternum. So if you look carefully, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 pairs usually connect here. After that, the 11th and the 12th bone connect to the 10th bone, like this. You see carefully here. And these last 2 pairs are known as the floating ribs, because they appear to be floating. They are not actually going and joining the chest bone. So the first 10 pairs will go and join to the chest bone. Last 2 pairs will go and join to the 10th rib. Okay, and they appear to be floating. Now, why is this so? This is to accommodate your stomach, and for females to accommodate the uterus. So during childbirth, the uterus will grow, right? If someone's pregnant or someone's body grows, so the abdomen grows. So to avoid blockage of the abdomen, these ribs are going and attaching to the 10th bone, 10th rib. Got it? All right. Now let's look at the limbs. Okay. All right. Now, first of all, so this is the major part of your axial skeleton. Now we're talking about the appendicular. Now, appendicular, we have 2 sets of limbs. We have the forelimbs and the hind limbs. Forelimbs are the ones, your arms, and hind limbs are your legs. Now, if you look here at the shoulder has shoulder blades, right? And you have your collarbone. So this is your collarbone, correct? And you have your shoulder blades. The collarbone is known as the scapula. Okay. And at the back, you will have a big shoulder blade, which is known as the clavicle. Okay. Scapula and clavicle. Now they will join. Scapula is basically, imagine it like a socket, and your arm is joining in that socket. Okay, arm has a round structure like this, and it's joining in the socket, and that is why it's allowed movement all, like you can rotate your arm 360 degrees, right? That is because it's like a structure like this, so it can be rotated around, right? Now each arm has 30 bones. That means total both arms will have 60, right? Longest bone in your arm is the humerus. Then
The femur.
Sorry?
The femur.
The longest bone in your body is femur. Longest bone in the arm is humerus.
That's right.
Okay. Then we have 2 bones here, the radius and the ulna. Okay. So the one on your thumb side, if you look here and you can feel, the one on the side of your thumb is the radius. On the other side, this side, the one towards your elbow, is your ulna. Okay. So radius towards your thumb, ulna towards your pinky fingers, right? Then coming to the wrist area, the wrist part, again, it is called, there are 8 bones in the wrist. Those are known as carpals. Then your palm, metacarpals, and your digits or the fingers are called phalanges. Okay, so 1 bone here, 2 bones here, 8 bones at the wrist. Okay, metacarpals have 5 bones. Phalanges will have 14. How 14? You can feel your hand. Just put out your fingers. Here there are 2 bones. 1, 2. No 3, no. 1, 2. Thumb can only go like this. Correct? So 2 bones in the thumb and 3 bones here. 1 finger, 1, 2, and 3. Right? See, 1, 2, 3 bones. So 1, 2, 3. 3 into 4, 12. 13, 14. 14 in your fingers. 5 in your palm. 8 in your wrist. 2 two this lower arm and one upper arm. Total 30 bones. 2 arms, 60 bones.
Yes.
Got it? Any doubt here?
No.
Okay, I'll just quickly do the legs also, and then we can stop. I'll just give you an overview of the leg as well. Okay, now next we have the hind limb or the legs. So legs are again attached to this pelvic girdle or the hip bone, again in the same manner. Okay, socket and a ball joint, right? So you have your thigh bone, which is the longest bone, like you've already told me, which is femur. Again, the leg comprises of 30 bones. Okay, so femur is there. Then again, 2 bones here downwards. So we have the tibia and the fibula. Tibia is closer to the, so it forms the shin on the top, and fibula is at the back. Okay, and we also have an additional bone called the knee bone, which is known as the patella. Your kneecap is known as the patella. Then ankle, here the change is that usually on the wrist we have 8 bones, but on the ankle you have 7 bones. Okay, so ankle bones are known as tarsals. Then the middle area, that means the one that is making up your feet, again, that's the 5 bones, metatarsals. And last are your toes, which are again known as phalanges. 14 again. 2 on your toes, big toe, and 3 each on all your fingers. Right? So in total, again, 30 bones. Right? Any doubt? Okay. So I'll stop here, right? When we come to the regular classes, of course, we'll do this in detail. Right? Any doubt, any questions that you have for me? No? Okay. So thank you for joining today. And I hope to see you for the regular classes. Someone from the admin will speak to your parents, okay? All right. Okay, have a great day, Swati. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you.